The school corridor was alive with noise, the kind of noise that made the walls seem to vibrate, lockers slamming shut, sneakers squeaking against polished floors, bursts of laughter, loud conversations about homework, sports, and weekend plans. It was the middle of the day, when students rushed from one class to another, moving in loud, confident groups, already comfortable in a place that felt like their territory. In the middle of all that movement walked a girl who didn't belong yet. Her name was Aira, and everything about her showed it was her first day. Her uniform was perfectly neat, as if she had ironed every fold twice that morning. Her backpack looked new, the straps stiff, the zipper shiny. She held it with both hands in front of her chest, as if it were a shield. Her dark hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and a few loose strands brushed her cheeks every time she turned her head to look at the room numbers on the walls. She was trying to find Class 9B. Her eyes moved quickly from sign to sign, from teachers' names on doors to the flow of students passing by. No one seemed to notice her, and yet she felt every glance, every whisper, every laugh, even if it wasn't meant for her. Being new always made everything feel louder, closer, heavier. Aira had transferred in the middle of the year. She didn't know anyone. She didn't know the unspoken rules of this place, who to avoid, where to sit, which groups controlled which corners of the school. All she knew was that she didn't want to stand out, and somehow, by trying so hard not to, she already did. Near a row of blue lockers, 3 boys were leaning casually, blocking part of the hallway. They were older than most of the students passing by, taller, broader, their uniforms worn loosely, ties slightly undone. They laughed loudly at something on one boy's phone, bumping each other's shoulders, completely at ease. Then one of them looked up. His eyes landed on Aira. She was walking alone, head slightly lowered, clearly searching for something new, unfamiliar, an easy target. He nudged the boy next to him and tilted his chin in her direction. The other 2 followed his gaze, their expressions shifting from boredom to interest. The first boy smirked. The second raised an eyebrow. The third straightened from the locker, stretching his arms like someone getting ready for a game. Aira felt it before she understood it, the sudden weight of attention. Her steps slowed just a little. She told herself not to overthink it. Just walk. Find the class. Don't look nervous. She passed closer to the lockers, trying to squeeze through the space between the wall and where the boys were standing. That was when one of them moved his foot. It wasn't a big motion. Just a small, careless-looking extension into her path. Aira didn't see it in time. Her shoe caught, and her balance broke. For a second, her arms flailed, books slipping from her grasp. Then she stumbled forward, barely managing not to fall completely. Her notebooks and folders scattered across the floor, sliding under lockers, pages opening and fluttering like wounded birds. The sound cut through the hallway, paper slapping against tile, a sharp gasp from her own throat. Laughter followed immediately. Not just from the 3 boys, but from a few students nearby who had seen what happened and found it funny. Someone whispered. Someone else giggled. Aira froze, her face burning as if all the fluorescent lights above had suddenly focused on her alone. I'm sorry, she murmured automatically, even though she wasn't sure why she was apologizing. One of the boys chuckled. Watch where you're going, new girl. His tone was light, almost playful, but his eyes were cold. The second boy bent down, picked up one of her notebooks, and instead of handing it to her, he tossed it down the hall, where it slid and stopped near a classroom door. Oops, he said, not sounding sorry at all. Aira's heart thudded in her chest. She knelt, quickly gathering the books closest to her, her fingers trembling slightly. She could feel people watching. She could feel the heat in her cheeks. She kept her eyes down, focusing on the floor, on the task of collecting her things, telling herself that if she just finished and walked away, it would be over. The third boy stepped forward, closer than the others. He was tall enough that when she looked up for a moment, his shadow fell across her face. He blocked the narrow space she needed to pass through. "First day, huh?" he said. "You should learn how things work around here." Aira swallowed. Her mouth felt dry. She nodded once, a small, stiff movement, and reached for the notebook that had been thrown away. Before she could stand fully, one of the boys nudged her pencil case with his shoe, sending it rolling farther. A few students passing by slowed, curious. Some looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Others smirked and kept walking. No one stepped in. Aira finally gathered all her things and stood up. Her hands were full, her grip tight. She avoided looking at their faces, afraid of what she might see there, afraid of giving them the satisfaction of her fear. "Move," one of them said casually, still blocking her path. For a moment, it felt like the hallway had narrowed, the noise fading into a distant hum. Aira's chest rose and fell as she took a quiet breath. She was scared, yes, but beneath that fear, something steadier was forming, something that kept her from breaking down, from crying in front of them. She lifted her head just enough to meet their eyes. Her expression was calm. Too calm for someone who had just been humiliated. The boy hesitated for a fraction of a second, surprised by the quiet strength in her gaze. Then he stepped aside with an exaggerated bow, mocking. "Go on, then. Try not to trip again." Aira walked past them, her footsteps soft but firm. The whispers followed her, the laughter fading behind her as she moved down the corridor toward her classroom. Inside, though, her heart was still racing. She had been attacked, not with fists, but with cruelty, with the kind of small, sharp actions that cut just as deep. And even as she found the door marked 9B and reached for the handle, she knew one thing clearly. This was only the beginning.